The Redbirds are looking for a sweep tonight against Charlie Manuel and the Phillies. Two old friends face each other in Berkman and Oswalt. And Albert Pujols back in a familiar spot at first base. It's a gorgeous night for baseball. Game number 2 between the Phillies and the Cardinals. And welcome to Cardinals baseball, along with my partner Albert Bosky. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Should be fun to watch Oswalt and Berkman, two longtime teammates in Houston, and tonight they'll go head-to-head.
They'll go head-to-head. I guess it was 10 years ago in an inter-squad game that they first faced each other. Of course, Oswalt has benefited from those 68 home runs that Lance hit for him when he was on the mound. Albert's done it 50 times for Carpenter. That's a lot of home runs.
And in general, Lance Berkman has been everything the Cardinals could have asked for when he signed the one-year deal.
And of course, he's been a great player right here for the Cardinals. He's fit in very well with his new teammates, and it was almost a situation where Oswalt, his first choice was to come to the Cardinals last year before he was traded to Philly.
It's Jaime Garcia getting the start for the Redbirds here tonight. Berkman is in the lineup. Big crowd expected here at Busch Stadium. A look at Jaime trying to stay perfect when we come back. Beautiful night here in downtown St. Louis as we get you set for baseball. The Phillies and the Cardinals, Redbirds looking for a sweep. Jaime Garcia looking to go to 6-0.
Jaime's been outstanding. You look at his last 2 starts, both wins. May 6th, he hits his 2-hit shutout, his 3rd of his young career, and then last Thursday, 7 innings, only allows 1 run.
So Garcia gets the call tonight for the Cardinals, and an old friend will face the Redbirds, Roy Oswalt. A look at the right-hander when we come back. Albert Pujols against Roy Oswalt. An extended history between these two, and Pujols 5 home runs, 25 for 80. How has Oswalt, though, fared in general against the Cardinals?
He's been a great pitcher, but only 1 game over 500. Good ERA. You expect him to attack the strike zone with the fastball.
So Roy Oswalt gets the start, a record of 3-1. We're in downtown St. Louis. 6 degrees of Cardinal Nation concerning Jaime Garcia. Coming up next. The Phillies getting loose and getting ready for our first pitch here tonight. 6 degrees of Cardinal Nation with Jaime Garcia. How does it all add up? Here's Jim Hayes.
Only one Cardinal pitcher has ever been Rookie of the Year, but several Cardinal pitchers have had impressive rookie campaigns. Jaime Garcia finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting last season. His 13 wins and 2.7 ERA were the best among rookies in all of baseball. The last Cardinal rookie pitcher to finish in the top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting, Rick Ankiel, 11 years ago. Ankiel was 20 years old when he pitched his first full season back in 2000. He won 11 games and struck out 194 batters. But Ankiel's sophomore season was a disaster. His control problems from the 2000 playoffs carried over into 2001, and we all know how the rest of that story goes. Ankiel's MLB debut was against the Montreal Expos, the franchise he currently plays for, though it's moved to Washington. Playing right field for the Cardinals in that game was Willie McGee, who, like Garcia, finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting. Unlike Ankiel, McGee's sophomore season was successful. Willie was an all-star and also won a Gold Glove. During the 1990 season, Joe Torre replaced Whitey Herzog as manager. 3 weeks later, Willie McGee was traded, though he returned at the end of his career. Torre had been a second-place finisher in the 1961 Rookie of the Year voting. 1971 was Torre's MVP year, and that season, Torre's teammate Bob Gibson won his 200th career game and threw his one and only no-hitter. Gibson's career started out inauspiciously, but in 1961, when he became a full-time starter, he won 13 games, the same number of wins Jaime Garcia collected last year. As Gibson began to blossom, his teammate Stan Musial was bringing his Hall of Fame career to a close. Musial's .315 batting average in his rookie season was the highest in St. Louis Cardinal history until Albert. Stan helped the Cardinals win the 1942 World Series, but he couldn't have done it without fellow rookie Johnny Beasley. Beasley won an amazing 21 regular season games and 2 more in the World Series. Beasley would have won the Rookie of the Year award had it existed, but it didn't, and he would only win 10 more games in his career. Beasley was a one-year wonder. Jaime Garcia hopes to be much more than that. So far, so good.
Baseball Tonight is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the just right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor. By Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines, new Rapid Rewards, unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. And along with Al Rabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Game 2 of this brief 2-game set between the Phillies and the Cardinals, and a look at Jaime Garcia, and he's been spectacular at times this year, trying to run his record to 6-0.
9th start. Team is 5-3 in his 8 starts. He's tied for second in the fewest extra base hits allowed, only 8 among starting pitchers, only Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay has fewer with 7. That's a real key. You know, don't walk many. If you give up hits, don't make them be extra base hits. And this Phillies lineup, the last National League club to lose 3 in a row.
Rollins was 2 for 4 last night. The 2-1 pitch is popped foul and out of play. Jimmy Rollins signed a 5-year contract extension in 2005. It did have an option. Charlie Manuel and the front office picked that up. And now a free agent to be after this season. He missed a bunch of games last year, total of 74 to 2 different injuries, and hits it into center field. And the catch made by John Jay. Again, Colby Rasmus is on the bench. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Phillies, which has been struggling lately. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Rollins, Martinez, and Polanco. Then Ryan Howard, the St. Louisan, Mayberry Jr., Francisco Valdez, Sardina, and Oswalt. Looks a little different when you don't see Victorino at the top and Jason Worth. The one guy that has been a constant, though, has been Ryan Howard, and the Cardinals, for the most part, the exception of his final at bat, pitched around him last night.
And that's something I think the Cardinals will try to do, especially if you can keep the first 2 guys off base or keep the guys off ahead of him, then pitch around the big slugger.
And there's a base hit out to left. A few of these pitches early on have been up from Jaime Garcia. Defense is presented by Dobbs, Halladay, Jay, and Berkman in the outfield. Descalso at third, Terrio at short, Craig at second, Pujols at first, and it's Garcia and Molina the battery. Tony La Russa is saying before the game that last night will not be the norm, and with a lefty like Garcia that gets a lot of ground balls to the left side, they feel very comfortable with Daniel Descalso at third base.
Well, Descalso has shown that he can play over there with anybody. But in fairness, when there's a left-hander on the mound, you know, it's not the easiest thing for the left-hand hitting Descalso. So you get people moving around, and once again, it was Albert's suggestion to help the defense for him to move to third base with a lefty on the mound. Now with Garcia on the mound, a left-handed pitcher, you expect the left side of the infield to get a lot of ground balls.
What a career it has been for Placido Polanco. All-Star in 2007, also won the Silver Slugger that year while with Detroit. He's won a pair of Gold Gloves. He was the ALCS MVP in 2006. Came up with the Cardinals back in 1998.
You look back over the years, and he's got to be one of my favorites.
Plays the game the right way. Another check on Martinez, who is a switch hitter, standing at first base, and now Polanco batting third in this lineup, and Ryan Howard is on deck. This is what we talked about, the situation that Tony La Russa loved to have Polanco in when he batted second in Tony's lineup. Runner at first, room to the right side. You can hit and run in this spot.
And then interesting, though, is Tony's changed his formula for the number 2 hitter, where now he likes somebody that can do a lot of damage there. Polanco, more the classic 2 hitter, hit behind a runner, take a pitch or two if the runner wants to steal, and push him into scoring position.
Bounces in front of the plate, and the count runs to 2 balls and 1 strike. Good to see that Molina's healthy return in the ball game here tonight. He was in a collision with Ruiz at the plate yesterday, and a lot of times you see that leg stiffen up overnight, wake up sore, but he's back in there today. "61 degrees our game time temperature. Crowd still filing in, and we'll welcome the Houston Astros to town tomorrow. Interleague play, you get those 2-game series mixed in throughout the year.
They're different, and I don't like them.
3-1 is picked up by Descalso. What a play. Takes an extra base hit away and gets the out.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Because of all the off-speed pitches from Jaime Garcia, the left side of the infield is going to get some action. Real tough play right over the bag. And he dives for it, scrambles to his feet, throws out Polanco. So a real nifty play. Now they're anticipating a lot of ground balls, and he just got challenged and came up with equal to the task.
All right, Al, early in the game, first base open.
You pitch around him.
You've got Mayberry Jr. on deck. 3 walks last night for Ryan Howard. First pitch, a strike.
Might have surprised Ryan Howard. Throw a strike.
Surprised me.
Well, and it might have been a situation where you're trying to make those perfect pitches away, tempt him, as he has just really slugged in his hometown. 22 games here, he's reached base in every one of them.
You know, the thing about Descalso too, we knew he was a pretty good defensive second baseman. That was the reputation coming up through the minor leagues. We didn't know about this arm, and this arm has been strong and accurate. Howard, they pitch to him, and a fly ball into center. John Jay is there, makes the catch. Phillies strand a runner. Cardinals coming up in their half of the first. No score as we move to the bottom of the first here in St. Louis. And let's take a look at Tony La Russa's lineup, presented by Southwest Airlines, with Terrio, Jay, and Pujols, followed by Holiday, Berkman, Craig, Molina, Descalso, and Jaime Garcia. Old buddy tonight, Roy Oswalt, one of the top pitchers still in the National League.
He lost his last time out at Arizona. That was about 3 weeks ago. Went home to help out with the cleanup of all the tornadoes down south, and then was put on the disabled list with a back issue. So he's making his first start in about 3 weeks. Still one of the best pitchers, and look for him to throw a lot of fastballs.
Liner that is caught by Jimmy Rollins. Terrio is on base 3 times in game 1. Fine play there by Rollins, and a look at the Phillies defense here tonight. This is presented by Dobbs, Mayberry, Martinez, and Francisco in the outfield. Polanco, Rollins, Valdez, and Howard along the infield. And the battery is Oswalt and Sardina.
Jimmy Rollins not too tall, but he skies on this one and gets that line drive right at the apex of his jump.
Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. Charlie Manuel yesterday, when asked about Roy Oswalt, said we'd like to see him in that 70 to 80 range as far as pitches. And when he went to do the cleanup in his hometown and on his property and helping out family members because of those storms, did not pick up a baseball. They said he didn't throw for a week. Then he had the back issues, so he did make 1 rehab assignment. and then threw a bullpen over the weekend in Atlanta. 2-2. And a swing and a miss. First strikeout for Roy Oswalt. Brings in Pujols.
Still has a very slow breaking ball. So a lot of fastballs, breaking ball, but he's incorporated a little slider, not much with that. But you'll see a lot of changeups that he'll backdoor to the right-handed batters.
If you're wondering, the longest that Pujols has gone between home runs, 22 games, and right now he's at 21. He's done that twice. The 22 was back in 07. The 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
What Albert's going through this year, probably his best example would be the 07 season. Home runs and RBIs, I think the average were all at his lowest, but still over 100, over 30, and over 300.
The 1-1 pitch. Looking forward to seeing that matchup there with Berkman on the left. Oswalt, former teammate for years in Houston.
Apparently they last faced each other about 10 years ago in an inter-squad game. And Lance said, you know, if you have to win one game, he's a big money pitcher.
We saw that. Busch Stadium. Closed down the second Busch Stadium. So who do you give the advantage to in situations like this?
In my mind, the pitcher.
As Pujols fouls it back. Why do you say that?
Well, because the pitcher knows what he wants to do. The hitter's guessing, and you know you have to kind of guess and see where the pitcher can set up the hitter. He knows what he wants to do with you. You're playing a guessing game as to what pitch. And if you just look at it, pitcher's going to win 7 out of 10 times.
And on the outside corner, strikeout of Pujols. Back-to-back Ks for Oswalt. No score after 1 here in St. Louis. Keys to the game is brought to you by Toyota. And a look at the Phillies and Cardinals in the last 5 meetings in St. Louis. 1.72 ERA for St. Louis. Last pitch, watch the catcher's eyes.
Making sure he's not looking back. You see I kind of glanced back there, making sure you put down the signal late enough to where he can't peek. And then Oswalt threaded the needle.
John Mayberry Jr., left fielder. And the first pitch at the knees for a strike. The Cardinals, by the way, claimed reliever Jess Todd off of waivers from the Yankees. Might remember that name. It brings the righty back to his original organization. Drafted by the Cardinals in 07. He's now 25.
And you know, when you think about Salas and Sanchez, and they also had another right-handed reliever that's out for the year at Memphis, they needed some, you know, pitching help, and Jess Todd will do that.
There's a base hit out to left. Mayberry Jr. on, leadoff hitter here in the second inning, brings in Francisco. Cardinals start play today, game and a half back of Cincinnati at 23-19. The Phillies a game in front in the National League East over the Florida Marlins. They are 10 games above 500 at 25-15.
Which is kind of amazing with all the problems that they've had, the injuries, that they are still off to a good start. But they've lost 3 in a row.
I asked a scout, I said, how would you evaluate the Phillies with what you've seen? He said they got old quickly, but in saying that, he said still clearly their pitching is head and shoulders above anybody in his mind. And he said once those players do get healthy, this is undoubtedly, even though with older players, the team to beat.
And also, Dan, you know, right now with the great starting rotation, their bullpen is throwing the fewest innings of any National League staff. And when you can do that, you know, that bullpen, even without Lidge, even without Contreras, you know, you're not asking it to do a lot. So it's been able to survive because Matson is 6 for 6 in save opportunities.
6 of 6 and an ERA that's under 1. Contreras, they're hoping to get back in the next 7 days, and Lidge by the end of June. So this team will be getting healthier before you know it. There's a look at Brad Lidge.
And when they get Utley back, and that probably be by the end of the month.
That's a big loss.
Yeah, well, really, you talk, you know, when, and then they lost Worth to free agency, but you know, you take all the bullets out of this offense. This is not the offense we're accustomed to seeing.
The 2-1 pitch to Ben Francisco, pulled foul, and we were not accustomed to seeing Cliff Lee walk 6, which is what he did last night.
Well, I know Cliff was a little frustrated with the strike zone. Talked to Rich Doobie, the Phillies pitching coach, and they just felt that he was squeezed all night. He had only had 7 walks all season until last night when he walked 6.
The 2-2 runner goes, taken for a ball down to second, and a stolen base. The steal from Mayberry.
4 out of 5 with steals. Wonder if his dad had 4 steals in his career.
Right.
A little different body structure between father and son.
You said last night you had a chance to play with him briefly in spring. Is that correct?
Yes, Big John Mayberry, and
here's a high fly ball into center. John Jay makes the catch. Mayberry stays put at second.
you know, but when I remember Junior's dad was when he was in the Houston organization, big power bat, and Harry the Hat Walker wanted to pop and glide, He finally got rid of him because he didn't want to be a Punch and Judy, and was a big home run hitter for many years. Whitey Herzog made an ultimatum to the Kansas City Royals. It's either he goes or I go. And I walked into that in spring training. So John was there for a brief period of time before he was traded to Toronto. And then that kind of freed up the spot for Clint Hurdle, who was an outfielder, more of a line drive hitter, but then had to learn a new position and really become a power bat at 20 years of age in the big leagues.
The phenom, huh?
Tough task. And
how did the players take to that? And it was talked about on a national level. Here's this phenom coming to the major leagues. Were you guys tough on him?
No, I don't remember that so much.
This is popped up into shallow left, and Terrio, the shortstop, backing up, makes the catch.
What I do remember is, you know, having a lot of fun times in the Plaza area, being with George Brad and company, and then coming out of a little drinking establishment, and there'd be Clint sitting on a curb because everyone knew he was underage. So that's where it worked against him.
Here is Sardina, who is 3 for 15, the 8th place hitter. Going back to Cliff Lee last night. It was the first time he had done that in 227 career starts. 40 active pitchers with at least 200 starts. The only one never to walk 6 batters in a game. Dan Herron, 231 starts.
And with Dan Herron's forkball, you know, you would think you'd get a lot of wild pitches or walk some people, and we must say that a lot of those borderline pitches seem like it went against Cliff.
He's still trying to find it here in the second inning.
Well, you mentioned earlier a lot of pitches up, and there you kind of saw that curveball casting, you know, not pulling it down, not getting the proper arm slot and release. It's not unusual. Early in the game, the guys will not be in a groove, the starting pitcher, but then once they find it, they don't lose it.
And Al, from last night, we focused today so much, and during the telecast, rightfully so, on a guy like Cliff Lee. But on the other side, Jake Westbrook was tremendous last night.
And Jake has had some rough spots this season. Well, he found his arm slot, and he had that sinker working, and really came up with the ground balls that we are accustomed to seeing and expect from him. So he had everything going last night and really won the pitching duel.
Here's a grounder. No, a line drive caught. The shoe tops of Descalso. Phillies strand a runner. There's no score. Always nice to see ball players giving back, and that's what we saw here tonight with Justin Mendez, 12-year-old from Puerto Rico suffering from a brain tumor. Yadier Molina invited him and his family to Busch Stadium. Personal invite, and he threw out the first pitch wearing that familiar number 4.
Well, Yadi had read about this young man, and his dream is to be a Major League Baseball player. So Yadi, you know, took it upon himself to help make that wish come a little bit closer.
Neat stuff. Here's Holiday. Takes a pitch up and in from Oswalt, who struck out 2 in the bottom of the first. Matt is hitting .373, 5 homers and 28 driven in. Amazing thing, Al, when you watch Oswalt, you see he's not a big guy, but it's that long stride and the drive of the legs generates so much power that we've seen over the years.
Yeah, that's why at times he's had a lot of groin issues, as he'll make a stride like he's about 6'6". Not big, but boy, does he have a big heart.
3-time All-Star, 2-time 20-game winner. Back in 05, the NLCS MVP.
2001, he was the runner-up to Albert Pujols for Rookie of the Year. But watch how far this guy strides out. He's listed, what, 6 foot, but I doubt he's that tall. But look how far he goes out there and puts that stress on the legs, really uses his legs.
There's that curveball that you talked about. He'll vary up the speeds and had Holiday way out in front. And there's the first out. Now it's Lance Berkman. Jim Hayes is up in the media suite, if you will, even above us. And Jim, you have a story here on Lance Berkman facing his former teammate.
Yeah. Al touched on it a bit earlier. No official at-bats against each other for the 2 longtime teammates, but Berkman said they faced each other once a long time ago in the instructional league. Berkman an RBI double. He says he's 1 for 1 against Oswalt. He's enjoyed bragging rights ever since, but he has a lot of respect for Oswalt. He's not so sure those bragging rights will continue tonight.
First pitch to him. The last thing that Oswalt wants to do is hit his good buddy, and that pitch was at 96.
Well, maybe sometimes you do want to hit your good buddy.
Well, that's you, Al.
And tell him that, hey, that friendship, that's after the game, but not right now. We're doing battle. I learned a valuable lesson, Dan. You know, I believed in the philosophy of Bob Gibson taught us all that that's the enemy out there. You don't talk to them. You don't communicate with them. Well, I learned to have a very good relationship with Tim McCarver.
That was off the pitching hand of Oswalt, then off the bag at second base, and a base hit for Lance Berkman.
Probably would have been, you know, Jimmy Rollins probably was going to catch it and throw it out. But see, that's what he's saying. Hey, we're competitors, and I want to get him out, so I'll use my bare hand if I have to. Hits the bag. Rollins was right there to get it, and he's got a good arm, so he probably would have gunned down Berkman, but he has no chance as the ball flips over his head after hitting the second base bag. But McCarver and I became good friends, and the first time I had to face him, you know, I felt like I lost an edge a little bit, saying, oh, that's my friend. And when he got a base hit off me, I said, that's it, never again. You know, I'm going back. I'll hate you. You know, whatever I have to do, you're the enemy. I also told you I liked him until I heard he say that Aaron hit a double off me. He said it was the hardest ball he ever saw hit. So I don't like him anymore, period.
Don't hold a grudge or anything for a while, Al. It's been a few years.
A few decades.
1 ball, 1 strike here on the second baseman, Alan Craig. slowly towards short. Rollins will get the lead man. No play at first. And there's 2 outs. This summer, Fox Sports Midwest has joined with the Mission Continues for a series of community service projects. The first is the Able Senior Citizen Center in Rolla, Missouri. And you can just head to missioncontinues.org to donate, find out more, volunteer your time.
You're going to be basking on the beach in San Diego, and I'm going to be in Rolla, Missouri helping out.
Well, that's good that you're doing that. That is good, Al. I'm proud of you. And I bet it's something that, in all seriousness, you are looking forward to. Another base hit to right for Molina.
Like an inside out of pitch, or if the pitch is away, just take it that way. You sometimes wonder why pitchers make it easy for Yachty to hit that hole in the right side.
There's Daniel Descalso, the third baseman. Runners at first and second. And that pitch is taken high. 2 outs. And let's get a look at the defense here for Descalso. They are straight away. And what do you think about the outfield arms here of the Phillies?
Well, I like Oquendo's answer. Doesn't matter. I'm going to challenge him either way.
Check swing and a foul tip. Really, that seems to be the theme across baseball, is that just about everybody, doesn't matter who's in the outfield, they will be challenged.
Sure. Our center fielder is a Rule 5 draft pick, Martinez, and he's also an infielder, so good athlete.
Two balls and 1 strike. Talked to Daniel Descalso a couple of years ago on the Caravan as we head through town to town. He talked about if he got to the major leagues, facing some of the guys that he's facing now, one of those being Roy Oswalt. So a dream come true again for Descalso. Unfortunately, he pops out. Strands 2, and there's no score. 2 hits aside, there's no score as we move to the third. The Phillies and the Cardinals. Scott Terry, the former Cardinal, has been kind enough to join us here in the booth, and exciting time always this time of year with the Cardinals Alumni Kids Clinics, and it's something that I know you really pour your heart and soul into.
Oh, we love it. We're actually adding an extra one this year. We've got 15, and we've got 5 new venues, so we're going to get off and rolling, and we're going to help a lot of kids.
Yeah, and it's ages 7 to 13. We should point out, not just for the boys, it's for the girls too.
Oh, absolutely. Any girls, anyone that wants to come. We used to have quite a few, but there's not as many as there used to be. But love to see the girls because the game is the same.
And you pitch for the Cardinals 87 and 91. You're a former position player as well. Then you were moved to the mound. Let's talk a little bit about Jaime Garcia here. It's always good to have you break down mechanics. What do you see with Jaime Garcia?
He can't throw a ball straight to save his life. Isn't that a good thing? That's the luxury of being left-handed.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you, the value of a left-hander is throwing a fastball with movement away from a right-handed hitter's power, and he does it as good as anybody I've ever seen.
No balls and 2 strikes. Scott Terry is with us here in the booth. And this is Roy Oswalt. 0-2 is the count. Oswalt, then we'll see Rollins and Martinez, the top of the lineup for the Phillies. And these clinics that you conduct, if a mom or dad is out there, they sign their kid up for this. Explain exactly what happens in those clinics.
We come out, we do a little intro. They get to meet all the players. Each player will have a little speech that he'll give prior to the clinic starting. And then we'll go to 5 different stations. We'll do throwing, we'll do base running, hitting, ground balls, and fly balls, and we'll have an instructor at each position. We'll do a little question and answer with a break in the middle, and then at the end we have a care package that we give out and some door prizes. So they get to be very active for 4 hours and get to learn a lot of baseball and get to meet a lot of former players.
So again, it's a 1-day clinic, ages 7 to 13, 4 hours long. And let's give some of the areas that you'll be at this year. And you can just go to the Cardinals website to find out more. This is Jimmy Rollins Fairview Heights, St. Peters, Afton, Missouri, Manchester, Columbia, Belleville, Arnold, Olivet, Ellisville, and Chesterfield. You'll be busy.
We are going to be busy. Some of the clinics where we have 2 stays, like at Fairview Heights, we're there Tuesday and Thursday. We'll divide the age groups on those. Tuesday we'll go 7 to 9-year-olds, and Thursday we'll do 10 to 13-year-olds.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
We go to Columbia as an example on July 7th. We'll do 7 to 13-year-olds. So we'll do all the kids in one day there. So that's kind of what we've changed a little bit of our format to make sure that we can get to more places.
And as I look at the roster, the former players, you've got pitchers, infielders, outfielders, Scott Terry, Alan Bennis, Ken Daly, Tom Lawless, Lee Thomas, Neil Fiala, Kurt Ford, Rich Hacker, Stan Royer, Scott Cooper. Here's a chopper to short. Ryan Theriot up with it and makes the play. And quickly there are 2 outs for Garcia. You're right. Look at that late movement that he gets on his pitches.
He's been awfully good. It's hard to square a ball up whenever he pitches, and that's the advantage that he has.
Here's Martinez, who singled. First time up, showing bunt, and looks at a strike. Mike Crudell. Good to see that Mike is still in the area.
Yeah.
Never forget Mike. NLCS, Kenny Lofton at the plate. Put one high and tight. Benches came out. And of course, knowing Mike Crudell like we do, didn't back down one bit.
Shouldn't. Wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. I'm sure everybody had something to say. Those are good times to remember.
I hate to say this, but I got to let you go.
That's okay.
It's only half inning.
We got a 3-up, 3-down inning, and that's what it's all about.
You going to radio now?
I'm going to go to radio at the top of 4.
Sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
You bet. Much sharper inning there for Jaime Garcia. A quick 1-2-3. Team Fredbird is still on the field, so now home plate umpire had to wait till they exited stage right. And we're underway. Cardinals half of the third. Jaime Garcia followed by Theriot and Jay. One more time for those Cardinals kids clinics. The alumni participating. Cardinals.com/clinics. Cardinals.com/clinics. And they'll be all over the place this summer. Ages 7 to 13. Boys and girls, 1-day, 4-hour clinics as Oswalt makes the play easily. Cardinals baseball tonight is brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at Lumiere Casino. It's now open. It's a sports bar for everyone. And by Steel. Are you ready for a steal? The great Derek, who works outside. Parking lot just outside where we enter. And he's always got a smile on his face when he's not telling people to hurry up.
Good man.
Very much so. Here's Ryan Theriot. Theriot lined out to short his first time up. Cardinals first time through with 2 base hits, one by Berkman and the other by Yadier Molina. What a pitching staff the Phillies have put together here with Halladay at the top of that. Hamels, Oswalt, Cliff Lee, Blanton. And some believe it is the best 5 in all of baseball. Hard to argue with that.
Hard to argue. Charlie Manuel, I remember a couple years ago before he won the World Championship, was saying, I don't have enough pitching. And now he's got a lot of pitching. Every single day he can throw a starter out there that has the ability to shut you out. But even they are getting tested right now with lack of run support.
Joe Blanton in his career has been very effective against the Cardinals. Up the middle and a base hit. Theriot's really started to pick it up offensively here the last handful of games.
He has, Dan. Terrio got a hit, 3-game hitting streak, 5 for 9, but a career .316 hitter against Philadelphia. It's 4th in the National League, coming in with a .297 batting average. This probably got to be 300 now, 1 for 2. This is a shortstop.
Here's John Jay. Takes a pitch low. 1 for 3 last night. RBI single in the 7th. Provided some insurance. Also had his first sacrifice bunt of the year. Came off the bench over the weekend and hit a home run. Great American Ballpark. Runner goes in a base hit into right. Terrio on his way to third. First and third, and just one down, and here comes Pujols.
Terrio's doing a nice, or excuse me, John Jay doing a nice job. He's 8 for 15, and the hit and run, perfect execution. That changeup, he likes to throw to lefties, and got it up, left it over the middle of the plate, pulled it through the hole, and the Cardinals have something going.
Pujols was caught looking his first time up on a pitch that was on the outside corner.
A rarity. Albert is equal with his walks and strikeouts. Normally, many more walks than strikeouts.
Runners at first and third, 1 out. Oof.
Right on it.
Yes, he was.
Mentioned lack of home runs, but even extra base hits have been far in between. Only 3 doubles this year.
Pujols, a ground ball towards short. Rollins to second, out there. It's another double play off the bat of Pujols. It's now 13 double plays that Pujols is grounded into, and it's scoreless now as we move to the 4th. Polanco, Howard, Mayberry Jr. Remember, Polanco was robbed first time up by Descalso. Took an extra base hit, possibly an RBI away. Placido is hitting .335, pair of home runs. He's driven in 24 on the year. Came in the ball game late last night. 3 balls, no strikes.
Been banged up a little bit of late, as these Phillies haven't had their regular team. They had good tailing action on Jaime's pitches.
In the air to right, and the catch is made. I know we're all excited about the big matchup here tonight, but around the ballpark with our crew, they have another showdown. The Italian BMT against the Big Philly. 2 deliciously meaty subs from our friends at Subway.
BMT, Dan. No Philly, no Philly.
All the guys are happy. They have their Subway. So is Garcia. We were told don't touch the plate of Subway sandwiches behind us, and Garcia couldn't contain himself. These guys can't contain themselves either, thanks to Subway.
But look at how multitasking they are. They can eat and still shoot.
1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ryan Howard. Garcia had apparently 6 sandwiches. They were cut in half, meant for members of the crew, and he had 6. That catches the inside corner, 1-2.
How about Jim Hayes? Saw those, had a nice sign, don't eat them now.
Do not touch.
Do not touch. And of course Jim Hayes had to open it up and grab a sandwich.
And there's the strikeout of Howard.
Jaime going right after the big man. Pitch down and in, always a dangerous spot for a left-handed batter, but Ryan did not swing. Just unbelievable numbers here in his home ballpark.
So thanks to the good folks at Subway for feeding our crew and taking care of Garcia, because we know he really works up an appetite up here.
You know, that's the only thing he works at. Getting an appetite. We finally found something he could do.
2 outs, and here's a 1-0 pitch. And a fly ball. This may drop. Berkman coming on. Makes the catch on the run. Thanks to the good folks at Subway, being a part of Cardinal baseball all season long. Cardinals about hit the Phillies 4-2. They've had the best of the scoring opportunities so far. Busch Stadium in St. Louis, another cool night. Cardinals will welcome in Houston tomorrow night. 2-game series. Cal Loesch against Bud Norris, and then Cal McClellan and Jay Happ at 12:45 on Thursday. Jay Happ was the main piece of the Oswalt deal a year ago. Holiday popped out his first time up.
Gradual warming trend, but when the ball club goes on to Kansas City, it's supposed to rain for about 5 or 6 straight days.
One pitch and a grounder deep in the hole to short. Jimmy Rollins. Quad Cities River Bandits host the Kane County Cougars at Busch Stadium Thursday, May 26th. General admission tickets are only $10. Chance to see some of the future stars of the club, and also for the Kansas City Royals as well. And we understand that the flamethrower Carlos Martinez will be scheduled to pitch that night, and the Cardinals are very high on him.
It'll get good weather for that outing. Puma is going to be a nightly feature for us. Take the one in the batter's box over the costume.
Single is first time up the middle. A ball that actually hit the pitching end of Oswalt and then off the second base bag. If it doesn't hit those two, he's probably out.
Pitch him away, fastball.
3-0.
Berkman was saying early in Oswalt's career, you really just saw a lot of well-placed fastballs and then that slow breaking ball. Slowly he's developed a real good, slider. He'll backdoor to left-handers, and a changeup has become very good, very effective for him.
Swinging away on 3-0. 3 balls, 1 strike. The big Puma, Lance Berkman. Lance saw that mascot right before our first pitch last night. So he was stretching down the right field line and took his time to get over there and shake hands, took a picture, signed a couple of autographs, and basically it was right before our first pitch. One out, nobody on, 3 balls, 1 strike. And a walk to Berkman. On base for the second time. Carsoup.com/Cardinals to email the booth.
Berkman still has the bragging rights. He's added to it.
10 years he's had him, Al.
Right, 2 for 2 now and a walk. So it's more than 10 years and Oswalt's never retired.
Here's Alan Craig at second base. Grounded into a fielder's choice, first time up. Molina on deck. Al, did you talk to Marty Brenneman today?
No, I did not. Did you?
I did not. I would have liked to. Marty had some rather critical comments of the Cardinals during his broadcast yesterday. Craig down the right field line, slicing foul and out of play.
Oh, what might those be?
Well, he called Chris Carpenter a whiner. Dave Duncan is infantile. And Tony La Russa before the game was asked about those comments, and he said, quote, I think the safest thing to say is that he's a Hall of Famer and he should get the respect that inclusion in the place deserves, and he ought to earn it every day from his Hall of Fame induction forward. He ought to earn it and not abuse it. Carefully worded by Tony. Just adds a little bit more fuel to the fire. And you and I have gotten to know Marty very well, and you know that's Marty, and we get a kick out of it.
Well, I think Cardinal fans would maybe be shocked at some of the things he says about his own players and his own management. So it's not unusual for Marty just to say what he believes, and he has that right.
Off the end of the bat, 1-2 is the count. .61 degrees at game time temperature, but still plenty warm for the youth to get a scoop of ice cream.
I just think that is a little feud now between the play-by-play guys. So you handle it.
There's a base hit up the middle, off the bag again, and Berkman will stop at second.
This time the Phillies were hoping it would hit the bag.
You know, Jim over the years had some issues with the pregame show hosts.
Pitch down there, produces a ground ball. He got what he was looking for. It just finds a hole, almost hits the bag. That was the only chance Philadelphia was going to have the chance to get a force out.
If you want to go after Brantley, go ahead.
Oh, I'll take the Cowboy anytime.
It's by direction. You see to right field, opposite way, 12 for Yadier Molina. Runners at first and second. Molina with a base hit out to left. Berkman being waved in. They'll test him. Throw to the plate. He is safe. Safe at home plate. How is he not out?
I was going to say, no argument from Philadelphia, but from our naked eye, I mean, it just looked like the throw beat him, and it looked like the tag was applied. But Wally Bell, right on top of it, has a much better look at it, and he classified in an RBI single by Molina's second hit of the day and said Berkman was safe. Now he slides to the infield side, and he misses a tag. Looking there.
Wow, what a slide.
And well, look at where Wally Bell is, in perfect position to see that he never tags him.
Great slide by Berkman. Here's Descalso with runners at first and second. A broken bat hit to the right side. Out at second, no play at first, and Rollins just holds on to it.
Well, sees the throw to the foul side, and he slides to the infield side, avoiding the tag. But those things are, you know, you're taught to watch where the catcher sets up. It'll tell you which way to go. And Berkman does it with ease. Talk so much about George Kissel. George Kissel used to get all the pitchers in sliding drill, and we learned how to slide both sides, pop-up slides, slide by the bag, reach around and tag it. But just watch that fielder, and he'll dictate which way for you to slide. Once again, you could have run over him, but they don't do that anymore. He picks the back door, and he was safe.
So 2 outs and runners at first and third for Garcia.
Give Molina some credit for getting down on Jimmy Rollins, this shortstop, keeping him from completing the throw to first. There you see Daniel Descalso in proper position to help out and dictate which way to slide, whether you need to slide or not, but always anticipate. Even if there's not a throw, a lot of times just go ahead and slide anyway. You don't get hurt that way.
1-2 here on Garcia. Descalso motioning towards the first base side, and the slide was perfect by Berkman for a 1-0 lead. Off-speed pitch and a strikeout of Garcia. Cardinals strike first. Berkman scores the first run of the game. Sad note today, and we talked about it over the weekend, that Harmon Killebrew put himself in hospice and he passed away today. And very sad day around Major League Baseball to lose the Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew.
Long battle, and what a great man. Harmon Killebrew, just a great Hall of Famer, big home run hitter. He's just a wonderful gentleman, one of the nicest you'll ever find in the game, and all of baseball really truly misses a great friend.
How well did you know him, Al?
I did not know him that well. Obviously, I didn't know him. My tenure in the National League coincided him with the American League, but after our playing careers, I did get a chance to meet Harmon, and he was kind enough to come into my golf tournament a couple times. And
I met him there.
Yeah, and just a wonderful gentleman. I went out to his in Arizona, and really one of these. I mean, you picture this Hall of Famer and the mystique that they have, and then this guy was just so pure and genuine, that very, very kind man. And I also remember when I went to Kansas City. At the end of his career, it's almost criminal, but for all the years in Minnesota that he didn't finish or play with only the Twins, but he went to Kansas City, and then when I went there a few years later, you could already tell the impact that he had on some of those young Royals players, that they had a chance to play with this great Hall of Famer, and how he helped them mature, not only as players but as men. But he was a very, very special guy.
Wilson Valdez, the hitter, with 1 out. Remember, it's your golf tournament, and you're right, very unassuming for being a Hall of Famer, and he was the guy that, among all the great players that you brought in, he would hold court with anybody.
Oh yeah,
he was terrific in that regard.
He understood. If you're a baseball fan or if you're just a person, you could talk to him, and he had all the time in the world. That ability to make you feel very special, and we missed a legend both on and off the field.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Valdez, a liner over Descalso. He almost got it. Stays fair as it hugs the left field line, and Valdez, the 7th place hitter, with a double with 1 out.
And Dan, part of Jaime Garcia's success is this is only the 9th extra base hit. A little hanging breaking ball out in front, but he hooks it with one hand, and Descalso almost got it. Maybe it deflected it just ever so slightly.
I think he did.
Yeah, I think it saw a little change in direction or slowed it up, but that's only the 9th extra base hit off of Garcia. That is huge. That's second fewest in the National League. Halladay, has 7.
Sardina in the pitcher spot. You would assume at some point tonight we will see the Phillies bullpen because of the pitch count. 70-80 is what Charlie Manuel said, with Roy Oswalt easing him back into the rotation here tonight. And he's on deck.
And I talked to Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, and kind of asked him about that, and he kind of downplayed it. So kind of see how he feels.
2 balls and no strikes, and it's a kind of a double whammy for the Phillies. Like we said before, he went down to help his family after the storms and did not pick up a baseball, didn't even play catch, and then he's got the back injury, so you're just not really sure where he's at.
Well, and the one thing Rich Doobie said is he had the back issue had started before he left, so that might have been another reason why he didn't, you know, pick up a ball. But riding a tractor isn't the best thing for your back either.
The tractor that was given to him,
yeah, that's right,
by Drake McClain,
who is now selling the ball club, the Houston Astros.
The 2-1 pitch. Love to see Garcia get the 8th place hitter here and then deal with Oswalt with 2 outs.
Is that the reward for the MVP of the 05?
Believe so.
League Championship Series?
Yep. The 3-1 pitch. And he walked him. You can follow the Cardinals with MLB.com @Bat11 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Just text @Bat to 31826 or visit Cardinals.com for details.
Situation here, they're expecting the bunt. That would bring up the top of the order. When Jimmy Rollins was in his MVP season,
Molina will take it.
when Jimmy Rollins a few years ago, when he was healthier and playing like an MVP, well, you make this any time. You'd ask your pitcher to sacrifice, bring up Rollins even with 2 outs. Deadens this ball perfectly. Popped in the air, but he deadened it so much neither the catcher or the pitcher could even come close to it.
Remember a few years ago at the old vet, Jimmy Rollins off of Steve Klein hit that home run.
Upper deck.
And Klein was just staring at Rollins the entire time that he went around the bags. And later we asked Steve Klein, why did you do that? As you get a look at what Jaime has done on the home and road games.
The ERA at home.
Yeah, .33. And he said, well, he hit a home run against me. And we said, he wasn't showing you up. He said, didn't matter.
That's, well, he thought he showed him up, and then he asked me about it, and I said, Steve, he didn't. He just put his head down and he ran around the bases. Steve saw the video and says, yeah, you're right, but I don't like him because he hit a home run. I like that theory too.
So 2 outs, runners at second and third for Jimmy Rollins. Showing bunt, and he did go. He offered at it, so it's a strike. A 1 pitch to Rollins. Taken up and in. Cardinals are hoping that Talent, along with Schumacher, might be able to make a rehab assignment this weekend. Talent, the lefty, Skip, outfielder, second baseman, leadoff man.
Well, Skip wanted to repeat today what he did yesterday, but fully expecting to go out on a rehab assignment once we leave town. And I think Talent is he's on his way.
One, two, hit in the air. Jay is there. Garcia out of the jam. Midway through 5, and the Redbirds have a 1-run lead.
Welcome back. We have a 1-0 Cardinal lead, but let's look at Cliff Lee from last night and Jaime Garcia from tonight. Watch their arms. Watch when they come back, the different angles. Look at the torque on Jaime Garcia. Look at that ball. His hand is pointing to third base, where Cliff Lee a little more straight up. Just giving you an idea how much torque you put on that elbow. Another thing that was interesting there, most left-handers throw across their body. Cliff Lee was pretty straight, and Jaime, for a left-hander, really was opening up. and that allows him to really pitch inside to right-handed batters. Most lefties always throw across their body a little bit. Cliff Lee was good, and Jaime was exceptional.
1 ball, 1 strike. The 2-1 pitch. Esteemed producer Mike Kelling brings up an interesting question. He said, if you're starting a team right now, would you take Cliff Lee or would you take Jaime Garcia?
I would have to take Garcia.
Ground ball to the right side. I'm with you, Al, simply because with a few things, contract and age, but the upside for Garcia is monstrous at this point with what we're seeing right now.
Well, Cliff Lee by the end of this season is going to be 33. Now, the body of work is outstanding, but Jaime is pitching as effectively, better, and he's only 24. He's already had his Tommy John, so that arm should be good for another 10 years.
Seems that's the case, doesn't it?
I mean, it's something you really do have to consider. Today's pitchers are going to go through it. It's just if you can get through it and be young, and you have a successful rehab, which obviously Jaime has, you're going to be good for quite a while.
.1-0 pitch to Jay. In the air to left field. And there's 2 outs.
And you might as well say the same thing for Halladay. Because if he's 33, he'll be well, he's already turned 34.
6 a serious number again. The Cardinals score 6, get 25-cent drinks the next day, all day at On the Run at Mobile. Any 20-ounce coffee, found a frozen drink for just $0.25, and we're serious.
If you were talking for one game, you'd probably take Halladay. If you had to win one game today, you take Halladay. And there's a lot of people that would put Oswalt in that category, or Cliff Lee. Jaime has been awfully good, but he's just going to get better, or you hope he's going to get better. He's very good right now, but being 24 and doing what he's doing, you take him for the long term.
Albert is 0 for 2. He is struck out and grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Buddy Bilrow, longtime AD at Missouri State, formerly Southwest Missouri State, informs us that the Bears beat Oklahoma State tonight. He said, I know Ryan Howard is going to want to find that out. They're now 2-0 against the Cowboys this year. That's ripped down the left field line. It's hooking. Home run distance, but just foul.
A real slow off-speed pitch way out in front.
Here's what we talked about earlier. Those home runs have not been coming for Pujols a stretch of 21 consecutive games.
You see, if you make any comparison to Albert's great, brilliant career, it would have to be the 07 season. And it was still great.
Yes, it was. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Pujols gets time. Cardinals with a lead of 1-0 thanks to Molina. RBI base hit back in the 4th. Scored Berkman, who had walked. The 1-2. Pujols hits it to right. Extra bases, ground rule double for Albert Pujols. And over the outstretched arm of Ben Francisco.
It's only his 4th double of the year for Albert, and one of them was a gift. The ball lost in the sun on the warning track, but this one well struck.
So Albert Pujols with an opposite field ground rule double, and he's safe at second, safe and secure. New York life.
Ben Francisco really misplayed that ball instead of really just running backwards and try and get back on that line drive. He kept on trying to drift back, just kind of almost backpedal, semi-backpedal, and never caught up to it. But that ball was well struck, so it was pitch up and away. See, I was kind of, instead of kind of just going back running hard, he just kind of drifting back on it, kind of reaching up a little too soon.
Pitch into Matt Holliday. Holliday is 0 for 2. Popped out to Ryan Howard and also grounded out to short.
Holliday, 13 career home runs against Philadelphia. That's the most among active Cardinals. Albert has 12.
Oswalt at times just has not seemed real comfortable on the mound, has he?
Well, if you're not comfortable, you're still pitching pretty darn good. And it's what we come to expect from him. He's just a bulldog on that mound. It's 73 pitches now.
Keeps fiddling with the dirt, also the pitching rubber. Some stopping mid windup to Pujols' previous at bat.
They have activity now in their bullpen. Stutz, who we saw in last night's game, warming up.
The 0-2. First time up. There's Stutz. We saw that Oswalt went to that slow, tantalizing breaking ball and got Holliday to pop out.
Well, it's so effective for him because he really kind of jumps towards the hitter. And you have to expect that overpowering fastball, a lot of four seamers. So he pitches up like that a lot. Has incorporated a two-seam now a little bit.
Do you remember him falling off the mound as much as he has tonight?
No, I remember him jumping to the hitters, but straight at them instead of falling off a little bit.
I agree. Holliday has worked it to 2-2. Hard hit and a nice play by the second baseman. May have been deflected off of the mound, but Valdez made the play. Pujols is stranded. 1-0 after 5. Krispy Kreme doesn't deal if the Cardinals get 9 hits tonight. They're at 7 right now. You're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow to receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $2.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kremes for this sensational deal. Michael Martinez leads it off against Garcia. 1-0 Redbirds. Martinez, Polanco, and Howard 2, 3, and 4 as we play here in the top of the 6th.
Stutz continues to throw in the bullpen, so you get the impression that Oswalt's night is through.
There is nothing straight about anything that Garcia throws.
Dan, it used to be every left-hander couldn't throw a ball straight, and we've gotten away from that for whatever reason. But he truly is one of those lefties that everything he throws has movement.
Makes you wonder what was going on in spring training to what we see now as Descalso gets an easy chopper. Strong throw to first. Fox Sports Midwest invites all Mizzou fans to join us June 25th. Mizzou Day at Busch Stadium, presented by the TV home of Mizzou and the Big 12 Fox Sports Midwest. Discounted tickets at cardinals.com/Mizzou Day.
That's a great point, because he had a horrible spring, gave up a ton of hits. Just really, if you looked at the pure line, it was disastrous, and everyone was worried except for Dave Duncan. Dave Duncan saw all kinds of positives out of his outings. Gave up few home runs. He said, okay, the pitch was up. But all the base hits, it didn't faze him at all, and was very confident. And Jaime didn't panic. He said, you know, I'm fine. And then from the first start, he's been outstanding.
Right now we're seeing him get through those first couple of innings, battle some of the high pitches that he had. He's kept things down in the zone, and he's in a groove right now.
Yeah, you knew that would happen. This is the amazing thing. The team is 5-3 in his 8 starts. All 3 of his losses have come on the road as walk-off wins by the opponent. So it should be, you know, it should, with a little bit of luck, the club should have won all 8 of his starts.
One of the toughest to strike out right here, Polanco. And a base hit on a 1-2 pitch. Guides it into center field.
No surprise there. Polanco is just that good, excellent hitter. He's off to a very good start. Came in batting .338. And there you see the breaking ball. And just a little line drive right back through the box and through. 2 very close friends.
This is where the Cardinals might catch a break with Howard up. And I say that because if it's a ground ball to Descalso, you would have Terrio turn that instead of Alan Craig. Now they have the shift on here for Ryan Howard. And Terrio is closer to second base than Alan Craig, your second baseman tonight.
They have no problem a ground ball hit to Craig and feeding the ball to the shortstop. They're a little worried about Alan Craig being in the middle on a double play.
0-1 pitch. 0-2. He's gone at Howard tonight. He's gotten him to fly out to center and also struck out back in the 4th.
Well, part of it, you know, the lefty, but the fact that Jaime gives up so few extra base hits. Now he knows at times when he can pitch around him, but Jaime's mentality is to go right after him. It looks like a slider here.
Ooh, just missed.
See the cutter speed and just a good location, just trying to expand the zone, but you don't leave it in an area where you're going to get hurt. So you either 0-2, you either want to come in or go away, but you really don't want to throw a strike to a good hitter. And another slider away, cutter.
And he got him. Strikeout of Howard. Second time he struck out tonight, and he's 0 for 3. So 2 outs, and it brings in Mayberry Jr.
And there you see the little cutter right there, even better, as this one had a little more movement, but down at the same place, off the plate, getting a hitter to be protective and expand his zone.
Mayberry singled back in the 2nd, stole a base, left stranded, also flied out to right. 1 for 2. Polanco with the lead at first base. Long look by Garcia, leaning towards second base, and time is called. Nick Punto, by the way, is unavailable, we understand, for tonight, dealing with tightness in his elbow. So that's the reason that you see Alan Craig at second base.
Had a little conversation with Punto, and his father was watching the broadcast and got a big kick out of it. Was a Punto play.
The truth. Punto play. We're getting used to saying that. What an outstanding defensive player he has become and turned into in the major leagues, and the Cardinals are thankful to have him, especially with the injuries they've had.
Sometimes, you know, a guy's reputation comes over, and then you're a little disappointed because he doesn't live up to it. In the case of Punto, we are thrilled with the Punto plays.
0-2.
I thought he did something nice also as he was interviewed by Mike Claiborne on the radio side after the game, and they put it on the public address announcer, and he thanked the fans for the welcome that he's received. And I thought that was a nice gesture, and the fans that were in the ballpark after the game responded to that.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, runner at first. Grounder that stays fair. Descalso shows off the arm. The stretch by Pujols. It'll be Berkman, Craig, Molina coming up midway through 6. 1-0. Ryan Howard has been held in check so far tonight, Al.
Well, they pitched around him last night, but Jaime Garcia, lefty against lefty, has gone right after him. In the first inning, set up away, pitch up a little bit, but he gets underneath it. A little harmless pop-up to end the inning. Then in the fourth inning, pitch down and in, freezes him, can't pull the trigger. And we just saw in the sixth inning, ahead in the count, and throws that good cutter down and away, expand the zone, and a couple strikeouts of Ryan Howard. But as long as he's got a bat in his hands and you're in a tight ball game, you do not take him for granted, and you're always worried when he's coming to the plate.
Lance Berkman and Oswalt out of this game as we move to the bottom of the sixth. Right-hander in for the Phillies.
Michael Stutz, we saw him last night induce a ground ball double play, the only batter he faced.
Also saw that he throws pretty hard too. That's at 93. Our Chevy call to the pen. They'll say that as he gets stretched out, he's around 95, 96.
Opponents only have 3 hits and 19 at bats against him, a 158 average. 7 of 8 appearances as a Philly are scoreless.
He does not look comfortable whatsoever, and looks like he may have hurt himself. And I was just about to ask you, Al, throwing on back-to-back nights, cool weather, how hard was it for you and maybe other guys you played with to get stretched out, get loose, and just feel comfortable?
Well, I think that's the key, and it looked like a back issue here. But once you get loose, actually the cooler weather is enjoyable to pitch in. You always feel invigorated. Hitters do not like to hit in cold weather. You can really jam them. But if you get loose, I mean, it's not an issue at all.
So we'll head to a break. Cardinals leading 1-0 in a count of 3-0 on Berkman. Back at Busch Stadium, a look at our AT&T trivia question. Who are the last 3 Cardinal starters to win all of their starts against the Phillies in their rookie season? Jaime Garcia, Omar Olivares, and our very own Rick Horton. It's 2-0. AT&T trivia question. Our Chevy call to the bullpen. Kyle Kendrick will get as much time as he needs to get loose and come in this ballgame.
Kyle Kendrick has been with the Phillies the last 3 years. He's been a good reliever for them. And he's our Mid-America Chevy dealer's call to the bullpen. 12 appearances, ERA under 2. And we'll go to a break since he has all the time to warm up. Berkman will inherit a 3-0 count. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box, where right now you can get the new bourbon barbecue steak grilled sandwich at participating restaurants, and by Kia. Beautiful night here in St. Louis. The arch all lit up. Fans are having a lot of fun. Cardinals have a 1-0 lead. And Kyle Kendrick inherits the 3-0 count as Stutz leaves this ball game. He just came in, and the first batter he was to face was Berkman. Looked like a back issue, and Kyle Kendrick is warmed up quickly, and he'll come in. It's my experience, when you come in from the bullpen with an injury like this, you feel like the whole world has stopped and watched you. You feel like everybody's saying, come on, let's go. And you usually say you're ready a batter or two too soon. So we'll find here. It's a 3-0 count. If he were to throw a ball, the walk would go to Stutz. Fires a strike in there at 87 miles an hour. Kendrick, born in Houston, but went to high school and resides in Mount Vernon, Washington. And now the walk. So that will go to Stutz.
Carsoup.com. Email the booth question here tonight. And let's take a look at that following the walk to Berkman. Hey, Al, were there any former teammates that you had bragging rights on? That's from Pat in O'Fallon, Missouri.
Former teammates?
I know you know, so don't play dumb right now, Al, because you remember all that. You never remember the guys that you gave up hits to. You always remember the guys you struck out or got out multiple times.
Well, Dan, no one ever got a hit off me.
Well, in your world, that's true.
In my world, you're right. You got to see how effective I am in my dreams. I'm still good.
Headed to the Hall of Fame, Al. Well, 13 years.
No, I'm
though.
in the Hall of Shame.
13 years. You did win the Fireman of the Year in the mid-70s.
You know what? I mean, it's a great question, but I remember a good friend of mine, Mick Kelleher, who was a very fine defensive player, but couldn't hit a lick. And I couldn't. I just kept on walking him. And, and it just drove me crazy. But I'm sure, had a lot of battles, but most of them weren't former teammates.
You were in the National League, then over in the American League.
I did face George Brett or some of the guys over there. And a lot of the guys that I faced in, that were teammates in St. Louis, as I kind of moved on, came back to the National League with Atlanta, I just didn't face that many of them. And at the end of my career.
By the way, Alan Craig has faced Kyle Kendrick back in 2010. Took him deep. That was in an 8-4 Cardinal win. Now here's a good question. What adjustment does Kendrick make, and does he remember that at bat against Craig?
I'm sure they both do.
That looked to be a hanging breaking ball. There's the fastball that's tapped foul.
And I think Alan Craig remembers it more than Kendrick, but even when you give up a home run to a guy, you still, in the back of your mind, you kind of seek revenge and you go, okay, it got me once, but I'm going to make sure use it as motivation to get him out on a more consistent basis. But you still pitch your game. Even if your strength, your best pitch matches up with his strength, you still believe yours is better.
On 1-2. This is a situation, if you're Kendrick, you get all the time in the world to warm up, but what a tough spot. You got 30,000 plus visiting player, 3-0 count on Berkman, so you just want to groove one there.
Dan, like I say, usually you usually come and say you're ready, a pitch or a batter or so too soon.
Runner goes, tap to the left side. Nice play on the short hop by Polanco. Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark, the only hotel that gives you home field advantage. Visit HiltonSt.Louis.com to book your Cardinals ticket package. Coming this summer, the new 360 rooftop.
Cardinals want to wish David Sanders a speedy recovery. And Yadi's buddy from Puerto Rico that he's hosting, he and his family. Young man has a medical issue. Yadi read about it and said, I'm going to help that young man out.
Justin Mendez.
Justin, and once his dream is to be a major leaguer, and for the day, or at least this homestand, Yadi's making him feel like one.
Want to know the count on Molina. RBI back in the fourth, was his 18th of the year. Back to Kendrick, off his glove, and plenty of time there for the shortstop Jimmy Rollins. So it's 1-6-3.
A lot of friends of Jerry Clinton are happy to hear that he is home and resting comfortably. And they're all wishing Jerry a speedy recovery and hope to see him out of the ballpark soon.
That includes us.
Yes, very much so. Talked to Jerry today, and we'll see him soon.
Two outs. Runner at third. They'll pitch around Descalso here. Deal with Garcia.
Well, Jaime didn't have much success against Oswalt, but we know he can swing the bat.
Descalso 0 for 2. Saturday, May 28th, the UEFA Champions League final comes to Fox, a rematch of the 2009 final. And that is in high definition, Saturday, May 28th at 1.
Usually Albert Pujols leads the National League in intentional passes, and this year a little different. The protection behind him.
Here's a grounder left side. Polanco gets up, fires to first, and got him. Keeps it a 1-run St. Louis lead. Placido Polanco, only 5 errors a year ago. One of the top glove men in all of Major League Baseball. Takes the hit and RBI away. Redbirds on top, 1-0.
Here, try this.
Man, he can rake. Rake.
What's on tap? The Astros and Cardinals tomorrow. Presented by Budweiser. Bud Norris 2-2 against Kyle Loesch, who's 4-2. Brief 2-game set. And again tomorrow night, $20 seats are available, field box level. That's it, $20 for field box level seats, part of dynamic pricing tomorrow night. Hope to see you here at the ballpark. If not, join us here on Fox Sports Midwest. You just saw the new second baseman Tyler Green and Garcia pitching into the 7th.
Houston, working their way from Atlanta, lost a tough one here. Brian McCann had the off day today. He pinch hit a home run in the 9th to tie it, and then he hit a home run in the 11th to win it.
Green tested right away.
Nice play, Tyler Green.
Concern for Garcia on a personal level, Al, was just trying to go deeper into games. And he did have the 2 complete games so far, but also if he didn't go the distance, it seemed like he was done after 6.
Well, last year when we entered spring training, he was an afterthought. He was supposed to go to Memphis recovering from the Tommy John surgery and pitch at AAA, and maybe at midpoint would be a factor to come up and help you. But he had such a phenomenal spring training that he was the best pitcher in spring. They had to take him, but they were very protective coming off of Tommy John surgery.
Another ground ball. Terrio, an easy play. Schnooks, this date in history. We'll see him next week. Ryan Ludwig hits a walk-off home run, bottom of the 10th, on a hot Sunday afternoon against the Rays. Back in 2008.
Batting average only about 208, but he's leading their club with home runs. And that very slow defense, offense of the Padres.
This is stung into right center field. Chasing it down, John Jay. 5 pitches in the inning. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope. With Bank of America, member FDIC. And by AT&T.
Play with fire, Dan.
Tony West, I'm assuming, got that shot at Forest Park, he tells us. How he finds some of these shots, who knows? He's dangerous with that camera.
No budget for Cardinal baseball.
Ryan Theriot will lead it off. The Cardinal leadoff man. Lined out to short. Singled. Grounded out to second. The 0-1 pitch to Theriot. Slowly hit. Polanco to his left. And there's one out. Next time you want to catch a Cardinals game, head to StubHub. You'll find the seats you want and the freedom to choose where you'd like to sit. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals. And again, $20 field box seats for tomorrow, as well as Thursday afternoon.
His fingers are in great shape.
John Jay in the air, left field. Looks like he's about ready to fade. I've seen that look before, Al. You're close. You're teetering on just knocked out.
Oh, he's busy. I'm sure he's studying for a school test.
Not sure he's old enough to be in school. Here's Pujols.
Sure he is.
Get a little tougher. Hold a little closer to concentrate. 1-0 pitch to Albert. Double opposite field back in the fifth.
Kendrick turned down a football scholarship to play quarterback at Washington State. I think he made a good choice.
Hold on, Al. Turned down a football scholarship to play quarterback. Base hit for Pujols. So he decided to forego college altogether and signed right out of high school.
Assume so. But Albert gets that good rip on it. Quick stroke out there in the sweet part of the bat. Lines it out there. When you be playing in the major leagues for a couple of years, I think you made the right choice to go to baseball over football.
2 outs and a runner at first for Holiday.
And the answer is yes, because he graduated from Mount Vernon High School in '03 and started playing in the Phillies organization in '03.
Holiday out to right. That'll hang up. Head to the 8th. Will he make it through 9? Sonic game recap. Roy Oswalt made the start in his return off the disabled list. 5 innings, 7 hits, an earned run. And Jaime Garcia, so far he's still in the game. 7 innings, 4 hits, and no runs allowed. Molina 2 for 3 with the RBI single back in the 4th, and this has turned out to be some kind of start for Jaime Garcia this year.
Only 91 pitches. He's already 5-0, looking to push it to 6-0. As I mentioned, he's the team is 5-3 in his 8 previous starts. And the 3 games they lost, all on the road on walk-off fashion by the opposition. So he is really dialed in. He tied 5 in a row, 92 pitches. Look at that, 61 are strikes, 4 hits, 3 singles, and a double, and he's only walked 1.
4 strikeouts in the 7 innings. And a ground ball towards third base. Daniel Descalso doing more on defense tonight. The Home Depot doing more on defense. And this has turned out to be a huge play in this game. If he doesn't get to that ball, extra bases for Polanco and potentially a 1-0 lead for the Phillies.
It was back in the first inning with Martinez at second base, so they would have taken a lead on that one if it gets by Descalso.
Strike 2, Jimmy Rollins, 0 for 2. Twice he has fly to center. Also grounded out to short. Martinez is on deck. Popped up, Tyler Green. 2 away. Oh no, he dropped it. Oh goodness, he dropped it.
Tyler Green has had some issues defensively, and probably the easiest play he's had maybe all year. Right in the middle of his glove and pops out.
There's so many things that you think about now with a play like that. Hopefully the Cardinals can turn a double play. And there's your base hit into right center. Rollins on his way to third. First and third with 1 out. You would have had 2 outs and a base hit, runner at first, and you're thinking about the potential of maybe extending Garcia into the 9th, complete game, and now you're just hoping that it stays tied, or rather can be maybe tied.
2 of the hits off of Martinez, and you can see right now, I like this. Terrio goes and talks to him. Molina's been a very steadying force. Wasn't a bad pitch, but you know they're making sure that after the error you just don't let that come back and beat you. Now what they're also telling him is there's 1 out. You've got a runner at first base. Get your ground ball and turn 2, and we'll be back in the dugout. But slowing him down after the base hit was the right thing to do. But with Polanco up there, toughest in the National League to strike out, a guy that puts the ball in play, doesn't beat you with the long ball, but you know he's going to put it in play. Hopefully it'll be on the ground.
You're thinking if they scored just 1 run to keep it tied at 1-1 and not any more damage.
Last year Jaime was 2-0 against Philadelphia. He's 2-1 lifetime, but all 3 starts prior to tonight he's only allowed a single run in each start.
Polanco with a fly ball. This could be trouble. Catch made on the run by Jay. Runner tags up to score. That's Rollins, tied up 1-1. Very shallow.
Well, that's, you know, Polanco, he's not going to hit the ball very far, but he's a good situational hitter. He knew at least he needed a sac fly. He delivers that. His 25th RBI from Polanco. And there you see how shallow, so he really had, Jay had to get a long run, maintain his balance. We have a tie game, obviously an unearned run, but Martinez went more than halfway, and then when the catch he had to go back and tag up.
That ball gets down with his speed where he was. He might have been able to score.
Yeah, I mean, he might have gotten a better read and see that it, you know, he's going to track it down, but that wasn't an easy play for John Jay. Got back to second, and he would have easily tagged up and gone into scoring position, and first base would have been open also. But Jaime's gone right after Ryan Howard.
Howard has been held in check. How about one more time? 2 strikeouts, and he's flied out to center. Big swing and a miss.
Another slider, but just perfect location. Try to get a hitter to be aggressive and chase a pitch out of the strike zone. 0-2, 0-2. You want to do, if they don't go to first base.
Crowd tonight, 34,567. Garcia has won the battle majority of the time against Howard. It's 2 for 11.
Should win this one too, being so far ahead in the count. Back to first base.
A routine pop-up drop by Tyler Green. Base hit by Martinez. Polanco, the sac fly RBI. We're tied up at 1-1. 0-2 on Ryan Howard.
Didn't want the slider, curveball. Little loop in that pitch. Got away with it, fouling it.
Air has been let out of the stadium.
Back to first base. Back to the slider.
Runner goes, and a swing and a miss. Howard strikes out for the 3rd time. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Costly error by Tyler Green, and we're tied up at 1 as we move to the bottom of the 8th.
Antonio Bastardo appearing for the 16th time. Good ERA. Look at the 21 strikeouts and 14 1/3 innings. A lot, just 1 home run. Only 2 inherited runners have scored. It's always an important stat for a reliever, but he's starting here. 8th inning. Bastardo is holding left-handed hitters to a .095 average this season. So they'll turn Berkman around.
In the crowd, 34,567. Berkman, then Tyler Green. You know he would love to atone for the error. Garcia with 5 strikeouts tonight. 3 of the 5 against Ryan Howard as a right-hander is getting loose. Carlos Ruiz is your new catcher. Stays in the ball game. Takes over behind home plate. Berkman on base 3 times. 2 walks. Run scored and a base hit. First pitch and a big rip fouled back. You just can't give outs away at this level.
No, you really can, especially good ball clubs like Philadelphia, and might have taken another win away from Jaime. Still is the pitcher of record, but Sanchez warming up last inning, and again here this inning. It's Salas now. Sanchez was warming up. Salas will come in. He pitched the 9th inning, but Jaime is still the pitcher of record.
1-1 pitch.
Berkman this year batting right-handed has done a nice job to see the 290 average, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. He hasn't hit this well from the right side for a few years. Probably say that about him left-handed too.
Yeah. The 2-1 pitch to Berkman. Leadoff man here in the 8th.
Second straight night. Cubs break out on top, have a nice lead, and then the Reds have come from behind. They lead by 2 in the top of the 9th inning, 7-5 in Cincinnati.
1 earned run, last 17. That's off the glove. Race to the bag. Berkman hustling. He is out at first.
Bastardo, after deflecting the ball, chased after it and almost took a little too much time. And a very close play at first base. See Hamilton in the background saying he's safe. Crowd reacting as if he's safe. But Greg Gibson, the only man that counts, says you're out.
One here in the 8th. Green, first pitch, fouled away. And 2.
Breaking ball, swings right. Got it up a little bit, but got it by Tyler Green. And Molina's had a nice night.
2-hit night and an RBI.
Nice gesture with his little buddy. And then he's shown him how big leaguers hit.
And the average has jumped to 305 for Molina. Chases a pitch outside. It's to the right of the dugout. Camberwell very close to first base. Popped up to the right side. Nothing at 2 the count. Outfield shades Molina to the opposite field. Gap in left center. Descalso on deck. Molina, left center, and that ball will get down. Extra bases. Yachty digging for 2.
Three-hit night for Yachty. His 10th double of the season.
How cool was that? You see the kid?
Yeah, big smile.
Pointed at him and vice versa. That was neat.
Yachty, his 3rd hit. Mentioned there was a big gap out in left center. He plugs that gap, puts himself in scoring position with 2 outs, and Descalso has another chance to come up with a big hit.
Awesome.
There's your point.
That's great. We've talked about this before. Would you think about pinch running for Yadier Molina? represents the go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 8th.
In Tony's mind, he is so valuable in what he does handling the pitching staff that Tony rarely will ever ask him to run.
See the secondary lead that Molina is getting, at least after that first pitch. He was at least a third of the way towards third base.
Yeah, they really are not paying any attention to him out there with 2 outs.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And remember, this guy is very tough on lefties, but Descalso had a pair of 2-out RBIs Friday night, up in his season total to 10.
Nobody right now pulling more for Daniel Descalso than Tyler Green.
Punto is on deck, but Descalso, and Dan, he's become so valuable. He has 7 game-tying or go-ahead RBIs in the 7th inning or later.
One-two pitch. 2-2. Yeah, he has come up big, whether it be breaking up Gallardo's no-hit bid late innings a couple of weekends ago. RBI that scored 2 late against the Cubs in game 1 of that series and the just completed road trip. A 2-2 pitch in the dirt.
Starro is holding left-handed batters to an .095 average, 2 for 21, and left-handed hitters have 1 hit in their last 16 at-bats against him. With 2 outs, the middle infielders say, Yachty, do whatever you want.
Walk to Descalso. Punto will be the hitter.
Doobie, the pitching coach for the Phillies, out to talk to his young lefty. Nobody warming up for the Phils, so they're showing the confidence in this young man. Antonio Bastaro is from Dominican Republic. Hato Mayor, the city he grew up in, born and lives there. Only 25 years of age.
Molina the double. Descalso the walk. Represent the go-ahead runs, and the pinch hitter is Nick Punto. First time we've seen him tonight. 1-1 here at the bottom of the 8th. In this spot, he is 4 for 9, 5 RBIs and a triple.
He has an RBI in 5 of his last 8 games.
There's that big gap in left center. First pitch to him.
Last time we showed a big gap like that was Molina, and he plugged it. Hopefully the same thing will happen for Punto.
Punto coming off a big night in game 1.
2 for 4 with an RBI.
1-0 pitch. Garcia still could get a win. Green could get off the hook.
Yeah, he just.
And he went 1-2. Two outs and runners in scoring position. The Cardinals way ahead of the pack at 325 in the National League.
And they're over 100 runs scored now, I believe, with 2 outs. Just unbelievable, the production and what they've done with 2 outs. Can they give us more?
1-2 pitch to Nick Punto. Here it comes. 9th inning coming up, 1-1.
We're tied at 1 as we go to the 9th at Busch Stadium. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Ricky Horton standing by. Garcia's home dominance, they'll break it down. Berkman's big slide, they'll take another look at that. And Tony TV as well. That and more coming up after the game. Fernando Salas on to pitch for the Cards as we go back to the booth. And Dan and Al, guys.
Al, there's not been a clear-cut choice for closer this year, but right now, Salas, I guess, would be the guy that you'd look towards, and he's been very good this year with the 1.08 ERA over 16 innings. And tie game here at home, you bring him in.
He's 4 for 4 in save opportunities. Last night, he had the first 1-2-3 ninth inning for the Cardinals, picking up his 4th save. And as you say, when you're at home in a tie game, you usually bring in your closers, so I think he is the choice of right now.
1 ball, 1 strike.
What a shame Jaime didn't pick up his 6th victory, as he did everything he could with his 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, unearned, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts.
We see Salas grab the baseball. Index finger is up, almost like a knuckle curve, before he situates what he wants to grab the baseball, have it the feel for whatever he wants to throw, as Descalso again throws a bullet over to Pujols for the out.
Pitcher will pick up the ball and grip it with his most extreme pitch. If you got a fork ball or a splitter, you do that. Here you see the knuckle curve, the index finger spiked, but that's, you know, the toughest one to reach in and grab. So you start with that, because if you have a normal fastball grip and then you see that grip right there, you reach in, you might be grabbing your glove or do something to give it away to a hitter.
One of the best knuckle curves we saw was Isringhausen. When he was right, that was nasty. Ben Francisco ground out back in the 7th, and 0 for 3 on the night.
First knuckle curve I can remember was Burt Hooton. Texas Longhorn, and then had a long career with the Cubs and other clubs, but started with the Cubbies.
Hit on a play, 2-2. Jose Oquendo with our young fan. Orr is on deck. Count of 3-2. 1 out, nobody on. Top of the 9th, 1-1 game. The next 2, Francisco. Fly ball. Center. Jay. 2 away. Reds beat the Cubs today 7-5. Bray picked up the win. Massett the save. That's now 5 in a row. And 11 of 13 for the Reds. They're now 25-17.
Pete Orr is going to pinch hit for Valdez. His entire major league career has been on the East Coast of the National League. Played for the Braves, the Nationals, and now the Phillies. Ibanez is on deck after Orr.
The 0-1 pitch with 2 outs. Cardinals will have Terrio, Jay, and Pujols in the bottom of the 9th. 2 outs. 0-2 the count here on Pete Orr. Started the ball game yesterday for Charlie Manuel.
Pete Orr in the 7th inning or later is hitting .368. 4 for 7 with 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter this season.
Slaps it the other way.
Spent all last season at Syracuse. So Atlanta in 05 to 07, Washington 8 and 9, Syracuse last year, and Philadelphia this year. Fastball inside.
Got him on the inside corner. Good work again by Salas. 1-1. Bottom of the ninth coming up. Justin Mendez will be our player of the game. And Justin, a friend of Yadier Molina's, the ballpark.
Well, between 2 of them, they've been very productive. They got 3 hits, those 2 guys, Justin and Yadier.
Good work by Salas, and the Cardinals have the top of the lineup. And that means that Terrio will lead it off against Dennis Baez. 16th appearance, 3.94 ERA. The right-hander's been around a long time. Terrio is yet to homer in a Cardinal uniform. That would seem about the right time.
So are you officially calling it?
No. But I would like to see him get on.
You know, I was going to help you with the positive vibes to get the get the home run.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Ryan Terrio. Right through the wickets. Base hit.
That's your wish.
I believe that went right through his legs.
Looked like it went right through his legs, right back over second base, or who just came in, deflected it, but that was going to be a base hit. As the Riot picks up another multi-hit game, right through the legs. Or stops it, but really was not going to be any more than a single for Ryan Terrio.
Well, we talked about John Jay, the sacrifice yesterday in the ball game. He called upon to do that here, you would assume. Then you've got the big bats coming up.
They want to walk Albert, so be it. You got protection behind them. How about that's better, though?
Oh, yeah. Base hit into right. Like we said, let him hit away. And here comes Pujols.
Big leg kick. Just pulls one through the right side. Or can't get to it.
Albert Pujols struck out looking in the first. 6-4-3 double play in the third. Double to right in the fifth. And a single in the seventh.
Neat shot there. And, you know, at times we know Tony is just so intense and just, you know, always respecting the game. But obviously he's okay with that scene there. And we agree.
Runners at first and second. On their feet here at Busch Stadium.
Breaking ball that didn't really break. Albert did not have a walk-off hit last season.
Hard to believe.
It really is.
Terrio, the one that matters out there at second base, trying to keep him close. Outfield can't play as deep as they normally would because the winning run's at second base.
Jimmy Rollins is not going to pay any attention. He's going to be in position for Albert to pull a pitch. So, or the second baseman trying to keep Terrio close. He's wide awake. I told you.
2-0 pitch to Pujols. Chops it to the left side and foul. 2-1.
This is where it makes it so tough on Baez and the Phillies. And you've got Pujols, Holiday, Berkman. You don't catch a break.
Two-one pitch to Pujols. 2-2.
Got Wally Bell foul tip. Had him staggering. Right square in the mass. Check and make sure he's all right. Says he's okay. Those guys from Youngstown, Ohio are tough.
The 2-2. Pujols. Little floater. Right field. Gets down. Terrio is safe at third. Bases loaded. Nobody out.
That was a close play at third base as Terrio did not get a good read. He couldn't tell that this ball was going to fall in. Jam shot is not going to carry out there, but you can see how hard Francisco comes in. Look at Yachty, his best friend, in the dugout and on the field. Not showing a lot of motion, is Yachty.
So it's up to Holiday in this spot, and the outfield very, very shallow. Matt Holliday a chance to win it with the bases loaded. 6 career walk-off hits. Bases loaded, nobody out here in the bottom of the ninth. First pitch to him. Holliday is 0 for 4. He's popped out to first, grounded to short, grounded to second, also flied out to right.
For those joining us, this young man, it's Molina read about him, a young man from Puerto Rico with a medical condition, and he wanted to be a major leaguer, so Yachty's brought he and his family from Puerto Rico, and at least for the night he is a major leaguer.
1 ball, 1 strike. Infield in, outfield shallow, and 34,000 plus at Busch Stadium in St. Louis on their feet. The 1-1 to Holiday.
That Holiday right on top of the plate. A lot of clubs want to expose him inside. And with today's pitchers with their fastball command, they'll leave a lot of pitches in the middle of the plate. He can drive it.
2-2. Berkman on deck. The 2-2 to Holiday. Ground ball to short. Rollins to the plate. out. Bases loaded and one away.
Infield in. Oh, they hits the ball so hard, but this one, Jimmy Rollins makes sure he gets a hop, takes his time, force out there. You got to make sure you get a good throw. Terrio tried to take him out. With Berkman coming up, they'll turn him around with J.C. Romero.
The lefty Romero into the ball game, and the bases are loaded for the Cardinals. Lance Berkman a chance to win it for St. Louis. Berkman tonight has been on base 3 times. Pair of walks, scored the first run for the Cardinals all the way back in the 4th. He has 2 career walk-off hits. I think it would be more than that.
Yeah, it really is surprising that you would think he'd have a lot more as one of the premier hitters in baseball.
It's a smart move here to turn him around. Clearly much better hitter, as we've talked about and noted, from the other side of the plate. That's the run that matters right there. John Jay, the youngster, along with Yachty, hoping that Berkman can be a hero. J.C. Romero came up back in 1999 with Minnesota. He has been with the Angels, Boston, and the Phillies since midway in 2007. Berkman. Outfield shallow. Infield is in, but double play depth still. First pitch to him. Fly ball. Center field. This'll do it. Berkman wins it for St. Louis. Jay scores. Sweep of the Phillies. Berkman, the RBI, on base 4 times in this ball game, and he picks up his 29th of the year.
And Justin has a permanent seat.
We've got the post-game show coming up. One pitch, it's all it took. Lance Berkman wins it for the Cardinals. They turn him around. It doesn't matter. Berkman delivers in the clutch here in the bottom of the 9th with the bases loaded. 34,000 plus. They love it. They go home happy. Sweep of the Phillies tonight. Post-game show coming up next on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest.
Game is over with a dramatic Cardinals victory against the Phillies. Rick Hort and I are here to break it all down on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Rick, always feels good when you get to celebrate after the game is over, jumping up and down.
Short series, pretty exciting that they could sweep this Phillies club, because I still think this is probably the premier club in the National League. They've got a couple guys injured. Cardinals took advantage of that and got some big hits in that 9th inning.
Certainly did. More from Ricky coming up on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Plus, the Redbirds looking to complete that 2-game sweep against Philly. And the Bats, well, they get going when it counts. They'd be riding the arm of Jaime Garcia, who is looking to make history. We'll tell you how, and we'll take you inside Busch Stadium for Cardinal player reaction and Tony TV. Plus, we'll get you ready for Hurricane Bud Norris coming to town tomorrow night. Happy National Cherry Cobbler Day. It's the perfect dessert for Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, the post-game edition coming up next.
Welcome to Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live.
First pitch to him. Fly ball. Center field. This'll do it. Berkman wins it for St. Louis. Jay scores. Sweep of the Phillies.
Cardinals jumping up and down, swarming Lance Berkman as he's the walk-off winner tonight. 2-1, the Cardinals take it. Jim Hayes moments ago catching up with Berkman, our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers player of the game. Jim?
Lance Berkman wins it with a walk-off RBI base hit for the Cardinals. And Lance, they keep trying to turn you around so you bat right-handed. Doesn't seem to matter to you at all.
Well, right now I feel good right-handed, so you know, it doesn't matter that much to me. I mean, obviously I'm better left-handed in my career, so I understand why they do it, and you know, you just try to have a good at-bat on both sides.
Earlier in the game, you matched up against a longtime teammate, Roy Oswalt, and you were talking about bragging rights because in the instructional league, you got a base hit. Tonight, you had a base hit, did kick off the bag, and you walked. Do you feel like you have maintained those bragging rights?
Well, I don't know. It was sort of an unimpressive base hit. I had a little help from second base. So, you know, Roy's tough. He pitched a great game. You know, he told me yesterday he wasn't feeling great, and I thought he was sandbagging me, and I was right because the first pitch he threw me was 95. So he looks great. His stuff is good, and you know, I think he's going to end up having a great year.
You scored the first run with a really good slide where you avoid the tag. Tell us about that.
I mean, I just saw the catcher kind of leaning towards the outside, so I figured the throw was going to come on that side of the plate, and I just tried to get on the inside and get the plate and get away from him, and it worked out.
You've seen a lot of good pitching in your time. How about Jaime Garcia?
Unbelievable. I mean, every time out, it's like he's throwing a shutout. So he was great again tonight, and you know, he's, you know, with last year and what he's doing this year, I mean, he's quickly becoming ace-type pitcher. I mean, he's a guy that you can count on to stop the opposition and give you a great start every time out.
Good job. Thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
All right, Lance Berkman, guys, we'll send it back to you.
Jim, thanks very much. We welcome you inside Busch Stadium once again. It's Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live with Rick Horton. I'm Pat Paris. Coming up, the must-see TV, Tony TV. We'll get inside the clubhouse to get player reaction, more player reaction, and we'll talk about Jaime Garcia's terrific night. Before we get to that, Rick, we talk about how important it is for teams to have these moments, these bonding moments, these moments where you do jump up and down and celebrate a walk-off win instead of so many times already this season we've seen them dejected leaving the field.
Well, there is something special about that last inning win, and the Cardinals were able to experience one at home, again, against a very good team. There were 4 very important hits in that 9th inning. The Cardinals had 13 hits. Lance Berkman gets the final one in the final dagger, but I still think we need to look at that leadoff base hit by Ryan Theriot, because when you get a leadoff base hit in the bottom of an inning that may go into extra innings in a tie game, that is the critical hit, and everything after that just followed. But really exciting for the Cardinals. Would love to have seen Jaime Garcia get a win,
right.
But even so, he was outstanding.
Most important, they get the team win. Great night for us to introduce a new feature, Rick. We want folks out there watching in Cardinal Nation to tweet at us, and we want you to tweet us our new Twitter account. It's now at FS Midwest, and we're going to answer some of your Twitter questions later in the show. Would those be tweets? Questions? No, they'd be Twitter questions, but you tweet at us.
You're the expert in grammar, not me.
I don't know if I'm an expert.
You're the one
that's quickly learning about all that. Let's get up to the broadcast booth right now. Dan McLaughlin and Al Roboski join us once again. It's a view from the booth, and excited to talk about a walk-off winner instead of the reverse, guys.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Also, an exciting night for a young man that was sitting next to Yadier Molina, which was kind of a side story to the game here this evening, and a lot of fun to watch that reaction.
Well, it really was, and just commend Yadier Molina for not only the night, but just the humanitarian thing we did from a young man from Puerto Rico with a brain tumor. But Yadi had a big night. You know, he had the hits here in the 9th inning. He's got his buddy right there, Justin, and he was part of every aspect of this game, and Yadi even takes him out for the post-game celebration. That was nice to see.
Jaime Garcia was terrific here tonight, and obviously he had a chance to go to 6-0, probably should have, but as Lance Berkman was saying, you're talking about a guy that right now is showing that he could be the ace of this staff or many staffs around baseball.
Well, he was outstanding. He didn't get the win, but in 8 innings he only pitched, he allowed 1 run, an unearned run. Unfortunately, a big error led to that run. And, you know, you can't say enough about Jaime, especially at home. It's microscopic ERA, and he's pitching as well as any pitcher in the National League or all of baseball.
And the Cardinals get a sweep here tonight, and they'll welcome Houston tomorrow night. We'll talk about that later in the show. Let's send it back to you.
Looking forward to that with Bud Norris coming in tomorrow night as well. Thanks, guys. And we want to talk now as we bring Rick Horton back in about Lance Berkman's night, and he talked to Jim Hayes about that on the field. That night included a close play at the plate that goes his and the Cardinals' way, and then, of course, the walk-off hit.
Cardinals have just 2 runs in this game. That's all they need. Lance Berkman is involved in both of those runs. The first one, he scores it. There's a base hit by Yadier Molina. Again, a big night for him. Berkman gets a pretty good jump. You know, these Phillies outfielders have pretty good arms. Close play at the plate. He slides to the infield side of home plate. I think he got a little help from Daniel Descalzo as well, because that's his job. Tell him which side of the plate to slide to. Very close play, bang, bang, but there's some separation there. He doesn't tag him, and Berkman kind of does the fadeaway slide to the infield side of home plate, drags his foot across. Umpire Wally Bell right on top of that. Again, just out of the picture is Descalzo doing the right thing, telling him to go to that side. He actually did it earlier because I was watching him as Berkman was rounding third. And then later, of course, he does it with the bat. Berkman, again, involved in both runs. This time, he gets the game winner to center field, over the head of the center fielder, scoring the game-winning run. And, of course, Yadier Molina was on 2 teams tonight. He was on Justin's team, and he was on his own team, the Cardinals, and he celebrated with both of them.
Certainly did, and the Cardinals take it 2-1 and do complete the sweep of the Phillies, and it was leadoff hit by Terrio, hit by Jay, and a hit by Pujols to load it, a ground out. Still had the bases loaded, and then Berkman delivered.
Yeah, a little sigh of relief, I think, for Cardinal fans that realize that Romero's a pretty good pitcher, and you're thinking, uh-oh, double play, and maybe we don't score in this inning that we should score in. But Berkman delivers first pitch, got a pitch he could handle, drove the ball in the outfield, which is really all he needed to do in that situation. Don't hit the ball on the ground, get the ball into the outfield, and that's exactly what he did, pick up the game-winning RBI.
Let's see, let's go back to 08. August 29th of 2008. Lance Berkman knows a little bit about walk-off hits. In fact, this is one we just as soon forget because he's wearing an Astros uniform down in Houston.
That's off his good buddy Russ Springer, too. And that's a pretty patented Lance Berkman home run the other way. And we've seen some of that power here in St. Louis, and we've been impressed. I think, you know, you and I talking about it, and what he's done right-handed. And he had a lot to say to Jim Hayes about that. You know, early in my career, they used to always make me hit right-handed, but he almost, I don't want to say he was bothered by that, but almost you could hear that in his voice that, you know, I can hit right-handed a little bit.
Almost like challenging.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it. And he's proven it this year, obviously, that he can do it. What's surprising to me is that's just his 3rd career walk-off, and we know what stellar numbers he has against everybody all over baseball.
Considering I could think of, or you almost in your mind could say he did it 10 times against us. I can't believe he's done it only 3 times total.
It's hard to believe. We're going to head downstairs now in Busch Stadium. Tony La Russa meeting with the media, wrapped up just moments ago, brought to you by the Sheet Metal Workers Local 36. How about some Tony TV?
Tony, how clutch was that hit from Lance in the bottom of the 9th?
Well, I mean, you know, you have a close game like that the whole way, and then you get a tough play the way it turns out to tie it. You know, that game gets away from you. It's pretty horrible. And we really had some good at bats. Even Matt had a chance before that, but he had some great swings. So when it gets down to Lance, you know, Romero's a good ground ball pitcher. A lot, he could ground ball, he could double play. So it was a lot of pressure, and he came through.
What happened on that ball?
You know, you'd have to ask him. If I had to make a good guess, he tries so hard, you know, and a lot of times, I don't care what you do, I know especially in athletics, the harder you try, the harder it is to do it. He just, you know, Tyler just, he wants it so bad, he just gets in the way of himself. I wish he'd just, you know, relax a little bit and let his ability flow, but nobody feels worse than he did. He doesn't feel as bad now because we won.
There's a lot of things that Jaime does, but to keep that at only 1 seems like a pretty big deal.
I mean, they could have made for an interesting 9th, you know, if we'd gotten in there, because he was already, don't want to push him too many times, but the way that inning would started, I think, you know, he'd have been out there for Howard at least, so I don't know, just the way it played out. He did a great job. He got no decision. He pitched great.
You have to like what you see from Salas tonight again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way he's been pitching. Spring training, First month and a half, he's been outstanding.
I know you guys never doubted you could win this way, and you've gotten some really good starting pitching, but to win a couple of games here like this, 2-1, 3-1 against a team this good, I mean, is there a particular value, or does it say anything to win games like this?
Well, I think there's a lot of good teams in the league. I mean, Philadelphia definitely won them. I also recognize they're banged up. You know, they got some important guys missing. Make sure to acknowledge that. But I think the thing we feel is we can win it. We should feel we can win a 2-1 game. We can win a 10-9 game, and we got a lot of abilities at our club that can play 2-1. So, but it's, you know, either win is good.
I know you don't like to compare, but is it time Jaime's talked about in that upper echelon elite status?
No, I wouldn't even mention that. I mean, that's something that you accomplish over time. I think the worst thing we could do is start putting expectations on him and start distracting him with anything other than just get your feet established and keep on chugging. I mean, he's kept his head small and his stride small, and he just doesn't go about his business. I don't think we should distract him.
Tony, he has a game here a few weeks ago where he flirts with history. Then he goes out and gets another win. Is there something about how the different ways he's gone about winning and getting deep into these games, that the dominant at times, efficient at other times?
Yeah, just shows how many weapons he has. But I tell you, actually, the first 2 innings, I mean, he was a little scattered. I mean, he threw a lot of balls up, and then he just got sharper and sharper, which is a good sign. He just, here again, didn't say, hey, not my day. He just kept competing, and things started coming together.
When we continue on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, we will break down Jaime Garcia's night, just like Tony La Russa was. Stay with us on Fox Sports Midwest.
Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is brought to you by Helitech Waterproofing and Foundation Repair. If you have water in your basement or crawl space, contact Helitech today. And by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win.
Took us a nanosecond to figure out our Helitech King of the Hill. Jaime Garcia wins it.
It was a unanimous vote, wasn't it, Pat? All of us,
34,567.
Yeah, and what a great performance again by Jaime Garcia. And as Tony said, he's got a lot of ways to get you, a lot of weapons. He has the great little slider that was working tonight, the overhand curveball, changeup's outstanding. Everything moves, and he's a guy that just, as Tony said, his head's not too big. He just kind of has it under control, and he said he wants him to just keep on rolling, and that's exactly what he did tonight. He just kept on rolling. Another outstanding outing for Jaime.
And he got stronger as the game went on. Tweet at us. That's what we're asking tonight at FS Midwest. Is Jaime Garcia the best left-hander in baseball and a Cy Young contender? The numbers don't lie. That's from Kyle 12888, and Tony would say way too premature. Let's not even bring that up.
Well, he's got as many wins as anybody in the National League, and he's got the lowest ERA in the National League. So you'd say in terms of stats right now, he's pitching like the best left-hander. There are other good left-handers in the league, but
Certainly.
You'd have to say that the quarter pole Cy Young, and there is no such thing, could very easily be given to Jaime Garcia.
3 more quarter poles to go before you can say
that's a long way.
But I understand what Kyle's saying. I think we're all very impressed, and he's now in the discussion, in the serious discussion on a short list.
You have a good outing, 2 good outings, 3 good outings, but you're talking about having a good outing for a quarter of a season. That's a great start. As Tony was very quick to say in his post-game sound, he doesn't want to start giving him these crowns and these great awards and start, filling his head with that. And that's his perspective, which he needs to do and the coaches certainly need to monitor Jaime's ongoing psyche and development. But I think for us as fans, we need to say, you know what? He's been pretty special.
Certainly has.
Nothing wrong with saying that.
Tony La Russa also pointed out that this Phillies ball club's probably a little undermanned right now with a couple of guys hurt, and he respects his other teams in baseball, so he's going to say that. But we can point out the Cardinals have to play him 7 more times this season. They play him 9 total. The one thing they did have, though, and still have as a weapon, is the Lafayette product, Ryan Howard. And our Don Brown deal of the game looks at what he wasn't able to do against Jaime.
We all know what Ryan Howard can do. He's got the great power, the great ability to drive in runs. We also know he strikes out. He struck out 47 times in 151 at-bats going into this game, and now you can make it an even 50 because Jaime Garcia carved him up 3 times, and really the slider was the big pitch to Ryan Howard today. That's the overhand curveball. again, sneaks in some fastballs here and again, but a couple of strikeouts on those sliders down and away really were the money pitch for Garcia. And again, this guy can hurt you. You've got to stay out of the middle of the plate, and you can't make a mistake to Ryan Howard. He has power to all fields, and Jaime Garcia knows that. He was just able to make good pitches on him.
Great slider right there in the 6th inning, and then in the 8th inning, you think, okay, Howard 0 for 3 at that point with a couple of strikeouts. Certainly is going to get this figured out at this point.
Slider, curveball, and slider, and that's it. And, you know, don't throw him a fastball. Don't even mess around with him that last at-bat. And as Tony said, and you said as well, I think he really got a little bit stronger as the game went on in some ways, Jaime Garcia. And really the key to this, I mean, it's not that hard to really break down what is important about pitching. Make good pitches and make a lot of them in a row and make them for 2 hours, and at the end of that you have a shower and everybody likes you. I mean, that's the way it works.
6 strikeouts for Howard and 12 at-bats against Jaime Garcia. You get the feeling they could face each other all week, and Jaime's going to get the best of Ryan Howard.
Don't hang
at least
one
right now, but don't hang one because he'll make you pay. We're going to continue here from Busch Stadium after the 2-1 victory over the Phillies in walk-off fashion on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. How about Yadier Molina's night? 3 hits. Drives in a run as well, a huge part, and he had a young friend in the dugout with him. We'll talk about that when we come back on Cardinals Live.